It's time for an update on what's happening in Ukraine. And on the one hand, uh, there's Ukraine's increased success in terms of targeting Russian facilities, particularly arms depots and individuals, generals, and so on. And on the other, under Putin's increasingly erratic leadership from the Smeg fridge, the desperate measures that echo the convulsions of a dying empire. And in the middle of this turmoil, the disturbing assassination attempt on Keir Starmer in Kyiv raises the spectre of escalation. You may recall the rather brilliant post by Caleb Robertson the other day while Starmer was in Kyiv, and he pointed out these explosions were heard. He was on the street at that time, and so the drones which were sent to attack the presidential palace while Starmer was there, this is shocking. It's a dramatic attempt on Keir Starmer's life during an international visit, and while meeting with President Zelensky to pledge Britain's steadfast support, this Russian drone entered the airspace near the presidential palace, and thanks to Ukraine's advanced air defences, the drone was neutralised, but not before debris caused significant panic. And the timing of the attack, coinciding with this high-profile diplomatic visit, is no accident. It's a message from Moscow. The West leaders are not untouchable. But the parallels there with Sarajevo in 1914 are unsettling. I remember standing on the footsteps of Princeps in the mid-1980s in Sarajevo and feeling that sense. This was the almost insignificant event. Not insignificant, of course, for the Archduke and his wife and their unborn child, but an almost insignificant event that triggered the 4 years of the First World War. And this is almost a declaration of world war by Putin, by this mad individual who may be dead, may be alive, the Schrodinger's cat in the Smeg fridge. This is Putin. Putin has stopped having real power. He's become a philosophical thought experiment, but it doesn't mean that he can't still do serious damage. And this provocation to test NATO's resolve, or simply a manifestation of his desperation, a last gasp from a dying individual or dying authority, or a dead authority. It doesn't really matter. It's like Putin has become like the is it the Emperor in the Star Wars, his fading bag of bones that is still trying to wreak havoc. On the battlefield, Ukraine is redefining the rules of modern warfare in a way that could not have been anticipated when Putin pressed the button and sent the tanks against Kyiv. Its long-range missiles and its drone attacks on Russian oil refineries, ammunition depots, and even high-ranking military officials within Russia itself showcase a shift from defensive resilience to offensive innovation. And targets such as the Engels air base, which houses bombers used against Ukrainian cities, and chemical plants supplying missile components have been obliterated. And rightly so. Ukraine's use of British-French Storm Shadow missiles and US ATACMS demonstrates its integration of Western technology with homegrown ingenuity. And these strikes are not merely tactical, they're psychological. By hitting deep within Russia, Ukraine is forcing Russian citizens to confront the war's reality. Footage of burning refineries and the haunting orange plumes of Tambov's gunpowder factory have shaken the Russian population, creating internal fractures that Moscow can no longer hide or suppress or control. Meanwhile, Putin's grip on power is slipping. The man who once radiated strategic cunning is now a caricature of paranoia, sitting in the fridge next to some ice lollies. His administration is reportedly considering draconian measures such as freezing bank accounts. Well, he knows all about frozen measures, doesn't he? Introducing food rationing, a grim throwback to Soviet-era desperation, but food rationing is already there. If you want to buy butter, you find it very hard. Literally. The Russian economy, under the strain of sanctions and military expenditure, is a house of cards teetering on collapse. Oh, and by the way, on the subject of butter, I can say Russian butter is a delight when you can get it. An absolute delight. It's one stage better than Anchor. Militarily, the Kremlin's strategy is similarly unravelling. Russia's deployment of dummy warheads to exhaust Ukrainian air defences highlights a declining arsenal. Casualties are staggering, with estimates of nearly 1 million Russian soldiers dead or incapacitated since 2022. The use of chlorine gas and other chemical agents further underscores Putin's willingness to flout international law norms, just as he did in Syria. That's now being exposed. That's now being taken to be judged and called out. And Putin is behind that too. What does this mean for the future? Starmer's near miss in Kyiv underscores the perilous tightrope NATO leaders need to walk. Ukraine's relentless pressure on Russian infrastructure, while effective, risks further destabilizing a nuclear arms adversary. And Putin's erratic behaviour raises the chilling question, could a cornered Kremlin resort to catastrophic measures? For Ukraine, the stakes couldn't be higher. President Zelensky's pledge to continue these operations sends a clear message. Peace will be won on Ukraine's terms, but as Trump prepares to take office, Kyiv still faces uncertainty. Will the US support remain steadfast, or will pragmatism dilute Washington's resolve? Will Trump's obsession with his own importance suppress Ukraine's march to victory? The war in Ukraine is a tragedy of global proportions, but it's also a study in resilience and strategy and intellectual rigour, and Ukraine's ability to project power deep into Russian territory while navigating international diplomacy is remarkable. Yet with assassination attempts, military instability, and volatile Russian leader in play, the path to peace is fraught with danger. So watching these events unfold, one thing must be certain: history is being written not in a quiet diplomacy, not with quiet diplomacy, not in a discreet way. It's being written in a roar of drones, in the fall of missiles, and the resilience of nations fighting for survival.